Hey everybody, welcome back to Strength Secrets and Isometrics. Today we're going through 4 muscle groups, so we got a good amount on the docket. We're doing a lot of extension-based work, so especially hip extension. So we're going to do a test-retest that involves extension, guessed it. So what I want to do, we're actually going to go forward bend and back bend. So feet together, we'll just start with assessment, then we'll warm you up. So let's go forward bend, get an idea for how far down you can go with the knees locked. Then go to a wider stance, bend the knees, opposite knee position, and then extend back. We can also look up and look back. So getting an idea how far comfortably can I extend. Hands can come across the chest or tummy for this one. And just warming that pattern up. All right, and then you can go back to forward bend. A couple more there, just get a really good idea of where our beginning point is. If your knuckles to the floor, awesome. If you're touching somewhere on your shins, try to mark a specific spot and kind of remember where that is. All right, so here we go. We're gonna start a little bit of light bouncing in place. And as you bounce up on the balls of the feet, I want you to start some really small head rotations, okay? So just a very slight tilting the nose or turning the nose to the right, then to the left. If you want to, you can also pick a focal point to stare at while you do those head rotations, and then let's relax out of that. From there, we're gonna go side to side, gentle tilting with head and neck. No bouncing on this one, just that lateral tilt. And then let's step out into some lunges with some arm and body rotation. So we're going to take the arms out, rotate to the side, tall posture, lunge, rotate, and repeating lunge, rotate. Just alternate a few times. Work on bringing your eyes along so eyes can kind of turn and lead you into that rotation. So eyes go first by maybe a split second. See if that helps increase range of motion or just the feel of the movement. From there, we'll go side lunge, and then let's also add rotation there. Still thinking about the eyes leading that rotation. Eyes go, then you go. Good. Nice job. One more side lunge. Good. And then let's go back to bouncing. Now, this time with a little bit of a head nod. So we're going to get some really good vestibular stimulus here as we warm up. And this can be a slight head nod. Just your comfortable range of motion there. Take a deep breath as you bounce. And then let that bouncing sort of push the air back out. Get a nice long exhale. Good. And then let's go into toe pulls. So we're going to tilt the bottom foot, tip it upside down so the toenails are pressed into the floor. A little bit of knee bend and gently pressing into that. Then ankle to the outside, same thing. And then same thing facing the other way. So toe pulls and press to the outside with the ankle. Let's go into a side lunge, ball of foot circle. So we're going to circle through that ball of foot. The heel's elevated the whole time here. Weight shifting through that forefoot. And we're going to get that knee involved a little bit there too. Nice job. Same thing on the other side. Get up on ball of foot. Heel's going to come up. Rolling through that forefoot. Really good work. Other way. Now let's stay in the side lunge. Settle into one knee bent, one knee straight. And then we'll go through some hip hula. So take that tailbone through a nice gentle circle and repeat for the other direction. Nice job. Awesome. We want to warm up the hips today, doing a lot of hip work. So we'll do a couple nerve glides specific to the hip and the back of the leg here too. Good. Hip hula with the other lunge. Nice job. See if we can stay in this side lunge and shoulder circle, keeping the elbows locked. Let's turn to a thumb down position, shoulder circle. And then let's turn to a thumb up position, shoulder circle. Nice job. and then reverse direction of your circles, and move back to thumb down. Good. What you don't want if you're a movie producer, and then 2 thumbs up. Good. Let's lunge to the other side, and then we're going to elbow circle. Good. And opposite direction, nice job. Really come all the way in and all the way out with those hands. So full elbow flexion and extension, in other words. Good. Shake that out. The upper body, loosen that up a little bit. We're going to go into the forearms, so you can do a little skin stim on the wrist. Remember where those wrists are in space. And then we're going to glide the wrist up, glide the wrist down. Nice job. While you're doing this one, I want you to come into more of a neutral position where both knees are bent. We're going to keep the wrist glides going in a second, but also press the tongue up into the roof of the mouth. So nice isometric with the tongue, drive it up hard into the roof of the mouth. And wrist glides to the side. Nice. You can shake that out. Awesome. From there, let's get the nerve glides taken care of. So I want you to prop your heel down with the foot forward. Pull the toes up on that foot. We're going to try to swivel the sole of that foot, bottom of the foot, out away from your midline. Come into a little hip hinge. And then let's add just a gentle rotation in towards that foot. And then let's go ahead and pulse through the knee. So bend and straighten a few times. Good. Same thing on the other side. Pull toes up. Swivel that bottom and sole of the foot to the outside. Come into a little bit of low back flexion and rotation in towards that side. And then let's bend and straighten the knee a few times. Nice job. Awesome. From there, if you have a pillow, knee pad, we need that today. And then your only other piece of equipment, these awesome straps for our isometric drills that we're going to work on. So let's go ahead and go to kneeling. We're going to tuck the pelvis, drive the hips forward, rotate away. From there, let's go ahead and drop into a little bit of a side bend over that lead leg, or side bend towards the lead leg. So still keep the tailbone tuck, hips push forward slightly, rotate towards the lead leg, and side bend towards the lead leg. Nice. From there, step the lead foot, forefoot out to the side, so we're creating a wider base between your foot and your knee over here. Tuck the pelvis again, and let's just drive into a little bit of a hip circle, keeping that tailbone tucked, and then reverse direction of the circle. We're going to step across to the opposite side, same thing. Wide base again from this foot to this knee. Tuck the pelvis, drive the hips over laterally a little bit. Keep that pelvic tuck, and then we'll hip circle a little bit again. Nice. All right. So really good for the inner thigh and the hamstring muscles. When we work through that one, that's the obturator nerve glide. We're going to tuck the pelvis again, drive the hips forward. Notice we narrowed the stance up. I'll bring that lead foot in. We're going to then go again to that rotation over the lead leg and side bend in towards that lead leg. Come back up, tuck the pelvis, drive the hips forward, rotate over the lead leg, a little bit of side bend in towards that lead leg, and nice. Should be pretty good as far as having your heart rate up, having some key areas warmed up. So from here, we're going to start out with the glute medius. This is going to be the most challenging muscle group because it has anterior and posterior fibers, and the muscle actions, or our muscle action stack, is different for each. So really, this is kind of like a twofer on the glute med. So we're going to start with on the anterior fibers first, a contraction, where we go into some hip and knee flexion. Then we're going to internally rotate, we're going to abduct, and then we're going to go into an anterior pelvic tilt. So the glute med is up and back here. And so as we go into hip and knee flexion, internal rotation, so we're bringing the foot out to the side, abduction, and then a little bit of anterior tilt in the pelvis. We're drawing these 2 points together, so kind of low back on that side towards the hip ball and socket joint on that side. And then ease out of that, From there, we're going right into a lunge. So we're going to stretch this side. We're going to lunge. That working side, the one that you just did the contraction on, goes back. We're going to hip extend, externally rotate, and then adduct. To adduct, we need to step this lead foot across the back foot, and then we're going to do a posterior tilt, or that tailbone tuck. And once you have all of that, we can drive forward a little bit with the hips, and you should start to feel a nice stretch there on the back leg and the glute med. Good. From there, let's go to the other side. Hold on if you need to. So absolutely you can hold on to wall, countertop, stable object. We're going to go into hip and knee flexion, internally rotate, abduct that hip, and then anterior tilt in the pelvis, meaning the pelvic bowl tilts forward. Hold that all together back here in this back hip. So the low back should be arched. 5, 4, 3, squeeze, 2, 1, and relax. Nice job. From there, we're going to lunge, opposite side, turn the back foot out, bring the lead foot across. We're going to get into that stretch position with the tailbone tuck. Then we can drive the hips forward a little bit and lengthen out through that back hip. The stretches feel good sometimes. Hopefully that helps loosen things up. You could try gait, do a little walk. So that's the the anterior fibers for the glute med. Now we're going to move into the posterior fibers, but real quick, first let's reassess. So do your reassess with forward bend. And back bend, knees bent, hands can come across. And that one's definitely a little bit further for me, a little bit easier. From there, the posterior fibers for glute med, we're going to go into hip abduction for the contraction. So abduction is out to the side. We're going to extend. So abduct, extend, externally rotate, and then we're doing a posterior tilt in the pelvis. So we're going to tuck that tailbone again, actually for the contraction. So again, this back leg working hip, should feel that in the glute, high hip area, in those external rotators, squeeze, and 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, relax out. Nice. For the lengthening, we're going to go ahead and flex. We're going to internally rotate the hip and then adduct instead of abducting. So that means bring the knee across instead of out to the side. And then we're going into an anterior tilt or extension in the low back. So tailbone out, pointed back behind you. You can pull up a little bit with the hand if you want to. We could even prop that foot up if you can. Still get adduction or knee across the body. Okay, so that's the stretch. Let's go to the other side for contraction. Let's get a nice 10-second hold here. So we're going to extend, abduct, bring that leg out to the side, externally rotate the hip, meaning the foot and knee point out, and then tailbone tuck or posterior tilt in the pelvis. And that really isolates for me glute med, almost to the point where I think if I focused hard I could cramp it. Keep going. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Nice. Whew. Might feel those tomorrow. So we're going to go ahead and go into the stretch now, lengthen it. So we're bending the knee slightly. We're going to adduct, bring that leg across, and then internally rotate. And this is the anterior tilt in the pelvis. So trying to draw that leg across with internal rotation in the hip, meaning the knee comes in and the foot comes out. And we're lengthening up and back here through glute med. All right, nice. Let's go ahead and assess or reassess forward bend. Check where you're at. And that seemed to improve. Do your wider base knee bend. Hands come across. And definitely better for me in the back bend, so hope it was for you as well. We're working on muscles on the back of the body, so sometimes we will see that back bend or extension competency and just the ease of movement increase. Definitely feels easier for me to get there. The next one, the piriformis. This one, I'm going to use the strap, so you can if you want, or you can just get positionally in the same setup. The reason I'm taking my shoes off is because my leg barely fits through this little hole in the strap. So I'm going to go ahead and bring this all the way up if possible. You can be right below, if it'll fit over the calf, right below or right above the knee. And for the piriformis muscle, this is an important muscle because there's a thing called piriformis syndrome. So you know if they ever name a syndrome after a muscle, it's got to be an important one. And so the actual syndrome, I've worked with clients with it in the past, you want to make sure that we have right and left balance. And what happens in piriformis syndrome is one muscle on one side gets a lot tighter and shorter. Doesn't mean it's actually stronger, it's just tighter and shorter. And the other side might be longer and looser, and that'll actually cause a tilt in the pelvis, where that tighter side, oftentimes that side of the pelvis will hike up higher. And so as we go through it, if you feel a different side to side and you know, hey, this one doesn't contract as well, maybe focus on that. Just make a note in your journal. Hey, come back to this. I want to focus, especially maybe it's your left side or whatever it is. If that side, literally, you can feel the contraction isn't as intense, you can't control it as well, would be a good one to come back to and work on. So we're going to go into a really slight knee bend with this one, external hip rotation, and then abduction. So it's only 2 muscle actions at the hip joint. We're externally rotating, and then we're going to abduct. So my goal here, as I spin the hip into external rotation, meaning the foot comes in, the knee drives out, then I'm going to push the knee off to the side, or abduct through the hip. So I'm driving out, out, out. And there's 2 ways to do this with the strap. So we can anchor under the foot. And I also like coming up higher, actually, holding on with the hand. So in this case, I'm just going to show you, an anchor point could be the wall, so that I can work on just balancing, adding stability, so that I can focus on this muscle contraction. So I'm going to slightly bend the knee, really slight knee bend. I'm externally rotating the hip, and then I'm going to drive that knee out to the side. My hand is holding and fighting that as I drive the knee out to the side for 10 seconds. We got about 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 to go. And then the exact opposite motion for that hip is going to achieve the stretch. So we're going to want to go into adduction and internal rotation. So adduction, knee goes across. Internal rotation, it's a lot similar. It's very similar to that glute med stretch that we just did. So internal rotation, knee comes across. Again, you could hold on for balance for this one. About a 10-second stretch. You could also bring the foot behind with internal rotation, and then potentially add a little bit of side bend away. So we're opening up this area back here. The piriformis is a little banana-shaped muscle that runs from our midline across and attaches to the outside top of the pelvis. Same thing on the other side, so we can go ahead and set that up for the contraction. If you're using the strap, if not, bear with me. I'll get in the orange strap as quickly as possible. All right, so we're gonna go ahead, I'm gonna hold with the hand actually in this one. We're gonna bring that knee into a slight bend, supported here, external rotation in the hip, and then pulling away from that hand. So driving out into abduction, fighting for that maintenance of external hip rotation. 3, 2, 1, whew, and relax. Good. Should really feel that in the hip. And then same thing for the stretch. You're going to go ahead and go internal hip rotation. I want adduction, so I could step across, can add a little bit of a side bend away. I can also do that stretch in front. So very slight knee bend again, internal rotation in the hip, and then adduction. Pulling that across, trying to hold that internal rotation in the hip, meaning knee stays in towards my midline, foot comes up and out. Nice. Let's test, retest. So get your range of motion check back out. Improvement, forming inflection. Hope you're getting positive results here again. And the back bend feels better as well. So if there's some good results here, remember, note in that training journal, hey, that was a really great muscle. Come back and work on. You could go through really a performance workout where you do your best muscle groups, your favorite muscle groups, do all the isometrics, and typically if you're doing only the ones that improve range of motion, you're going to feel really good after doing a session focused like that. So writing down those performance ones, again, can be a really important thing to do. On the next one, we're going to the upper body. So we're working on the upper trapezius. Upper trap is an area that a lot of people talk about, how I carry my tension up here in the shoulders, the neck. The upper trap does attach into the superior spine of the scapula or the shoulder blade. So we're going to work on some shoulder blade movement with this one, and then it also attaches into the neck. So we are going to work on some head and neck movement. Go slowly, go gently with this at first. You can increase tension as you increase competency. So you could do this without the strap. I'm going to show you with the strap. For the setup in upper trap, we want retraction in the shoulder blade, meaning we want to pull the shoulder blade back, and that sort of pushes it back and in towards the spine. Then we're going to elevate it, so we're going to pull that shoulder blade up, and you can see I'm getting elevation in the shoulder at the same time. So if I'm anchored under the heel with the strap, I got a grip on it, shoulder back and up. From there, if we can get some upward rotation in the shoulder blade, actually rotate it up on the bottom, that means the bottom angle of it starts to tilt up. So we're pulling it back up with upward rotation. We're then going to extend the neck. We're going to tilt the head in towards that side, so we're shortening the space from ear to shoulder. And then we're going to rotate the head away. So this is my working side. I'm rotating my head away and then holding for 10 seconds. And this can be a mighty intense contraction, especially with the strap. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and ease out of it. Sometimes the muscles don't relax all the way because they don't contract all the way, so this can be amazing actually for helping neck, shoulders, upper back start to loosen up a little bit. So that's the full contraction. We're going to go right into the stretch for that side. So we're going to pull shoulder blade down now. Depression, we're driving it forward. So protraction, it's almost like you're slumping that shoulder. They teach you not to do posturally. Down and forward, and then we're going to tilt the head away, flex the head with that chin tuck, and then rotate towards the side that we're working this time. So a little more chin tuck. This shoulder is down and forward, and I'm getting flexion, rotation, and you should feel some lengthening happening there. From there, let's jump into the other side. So again, heel can anchor if you're going to use the strap. If not, just go through the muscle actions with me. So we're shrugging the shoulder up and pulling the shoulder blade back, retraction again, and then we're going to extend the head, tip the head back. We're going to tip the head in towards that side with still that extension, and then rotate the head away. Ooh, this one's going to be more fun. So 10 seconds, go. Stay in it with that head and neck position if you can. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and relax out. Oh my goodness. All right, so got to work on left upper trap. So that would be a training note on that side. Almost felt a little bit more crampy, harder to control on that side, so I want to work on it. We're going to pull the shoulder forward and down now for the stretch. Tilt the head away, tuck the chin towards the chest, and then rotate head towards the side that we're stretching. So this side over here, just make sure that shoulder stays down and forward. You can almost assist it, tug it forward a little bit with the other hand. We can reach there, and then again, chin tuck, rotation towards that side. Then you should feel a nice lengthening through that upper trapezius. Let's retest a second. So go ahead and find your spot where you're doing extension, forward bends. And that one got better for sure. On flexion, go ahead and try your back bend, knees bent, arms crossed. And that's opening up as well. The last muscle group, we're back to lower body. This is the sartorius. Really cool name, right? Sartorius goes from the hip to the inside aspect of the knee. So it attaches all the way down here and then all the way up here. So it wraps from the outside of the hip to the inside of the knee. So really kind of an interesting one to lengthen and contract. So we're going to start with an anterior tilt in the pelvis, so we're tipping that pelvic bowl forward. That should put that nice, almost exaggerated arch in the low back. From there, we're going to abduct the hip, meaning hip comes out to the side. We're going to externally rotate, and then we're going to keep the knee bent. So I'm going into abduction, external rotation with a nice healthy knee bend. And as I fight for more external rotation, more abduction, and a lot of knee bend, you should feel some contractions start to happen from hip on the outside to knee on the inside. Pull that together and then relax out. Nice. For the stretch, we're going to go into posterior tilt. We're going to go into adduction and internal rotation with the knee straight. So this is a great one to get into lunge position for. So this side, the working side, is going to go back. Got the foot turned in, so internal hip rotation. We're going to step the lead foot across or adduct the back leg by bringing this leg across. And then instead of that arched low back, we're going to try to flatten out that arch by posterior tilting the pelvis or tucking the tailbone. And that's going to lengthen that muscle group out. You can almost feel the attachment point up here in the hip. Start to stretch in 10 seconds or so, and then let's go to the other side. So we're going contraction first. We're going to arch the low back, anterior tilt in the pelvis. From there, we're going to abduct the hip, meaning the hip and knee are going to come out to the side. Get a nice healthy knee bend, external rotation in the hip, and keep fighting for abduction, external rotation, pulling that lower leg in a nice strong knee flexion. Keep that low back arch. Keep going. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and oh my sartorius. All right, from there, we're going to go into the stretch. So turn the back foot in. We got internal rotation and extension in the hip now. We're going to step that lead foot across and lengthening that sartorius back out, and then tuck the tailbone or posterior tilt in the pelvis. You can also maybe drive the hips forward a little bit more. Try to keep that knee straight on the back leg. So as we stretch that sartorius, we want the knee to be extended nice and straight. And ease out of that. Woo! 4 muscle groups. Almost seems like 5 because glute medius, we had that twofer. Let's go ahead and check. Forward bend again, knees straight. Decent. Upper trap one was a little bit better. Again, make your own notes on range of motion. Knees bent, back bending, and we'll ease out of that. So why is range of motion such an important assessment? When you increase range of motion, almost always we improved the synergistic relationship, right, between your flexors and extensors, the muscles on the front of the body and the back of the body, and also maybe improve synergy of the muscle groups on the right side and the left side of the body. That's why your brain's allowing more capacity, more range of motion. And so that typically means really good things in the training environment, and that's why just taking down, jotting some notes on which one of these isometrics works really well for you can be important, and it can give you, just again, some notes on your high high payoff, high performance drills, and a really good way to go through and just get the most out of some of your future sessions. You can compile those together and put them together in some of your favorite combinations. So thanks so much, and I'll see you in the next one.